Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Houston Oasis. We have a great Sunday for you today. If you haven't been with us before, welcome. Houston Oasis has been going around. We've been running since about 12 years now, I believe, or more. 12, 13 years at least. It's been a while. But you can see some of our core values. The ones I like best is human hands solve human problems, and meaning comes from making a difference. I'm Abhishek Mathur, and to get us started, our first we have music by Hank Woji here, and then we'll have the main talk from Alex Malone. Let's get this started with Hank, who's played with us several times, and we look forward to hearing him every time.
Yep. See you again. Good morning. Is everybody awake yet? I'm on my second coffee. I'm still having a problem getting started here. Okay. Sound good out there? Okay, good. Here we go. So we'll start off with a little song of redemption and second chances. Wrote this song back during the COVID lockdown, 2020. I'll be leaving in the morning, westward bound, I'm sure you know. And there ain't much time left for talking. So honey, do you want to go? Some say the highway is for gamblers. Let's roll those dice one more time. This road, it won't go on forever, but it might just last a good long ride. So don't look back, it's just a pocket full of roses. Don't look back, it's just a fistful of thorns. Don't look back, broken hearts will all be mended. Don't look back, broken spirits be reborn. Now there's no chance in taking chances. There's no dream that can't be dreamed. In a world so unexpected, won't you take a chance on me? 'Cause we've seen enough to know better. Throwing all caution to the wind. We've tasted sweet wine and the bitter fruit. Lost enough times to know what it really means to win. So don't look back, it's just a pocket full of roses. Don't look back, it's just a fistful of thorns. Don't look back, broken hearts will all be mended. Don't look back, broken spirits be reborn. I'll be leaving in the morning, westward bound, I'm sure you know. And there ain't much time left for talking. So honey, do you wanna go? Don't look back, it's just a pocket full of roses. Don't look back, it's just a fistful of thorns. Don't look back, broken hearts will all be mended. Don't look back, broken spirits be reborn. So I've been living basically on the road the last 11 years. And toward the end of last year, about this time, my van clicked over 500,000 miles. And that was pretty cool, except that about 30,000 miles later, I needed an engine rebuild, which luckily I found a great mechanic up in New Jersey that rebuilt my engine for me. So I'm on my way to 600,000 right now. And I'm figuring I can get about 8. That's what I'm looking for. Ford Motor Company. I feel like PBS, you know. This song is brought to you by a generous endowment from Ford Motor Company. Somebody once asked me, what's it like, living on the road? So I was going to write a little epic road song. And instead, I ended up with a waltz about 3 minutes long. So this is the last 480,000 miles of my life in 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Tires softly singing, long lonesome highway. I'll ramble back home, only God, He knows when. White lines to guide me, miles fall behind me, and I'm chasing my headlights again. A hot cup of coffee, truck stop near Denver. Peach pie reminds me of somewhere I've been. The waitress says, honey, you look kind of weary, and I'm chasing my headlights again. My sweet Tallahassee, you found your way deep in my soul. My sweet Tallahassee, was it more than my heart that you stole? My sweet Tallahassee, you found your way deep in my soul. My sweet Tallahassee, was it more than my heart that you stole? A good gig in Memphis, tip job was singing. Felt just like dancing on the head of a pin. The bartender told me that song really touched me, and I'm chasing my headlights again. White lines to guide me, miles fall behind me, and I'm chasing my headlights again. Chasing my headlights again. Thank you.
All right, hello, and thank you so much for those songs. We will hear it more later on in our program. Right now, we're going to take an early coffee break today, and because allow a few more people to get here, so I'm looking forward to Alex and his presentation. So let's take a 10-minute coffee break, visit with some people, get to know people if you don't know them, and we will be back at like around 10:52. All right, thanks. time. We have another song by Hank Woji, which we love having you here always. So go ahead, and then we'll hear from Alex. Thanks.
There we go. So anyway, some songs have a shelf life. I didn't write this one. This is one of Woody's, and unfortunately this song has not had a shelf life. Crops are all in, peaches are brightening. The oranges stacked in their creosote dumps. They're flying them back to the Mexican border. It takes all their money to wade back again. My father's own father, he waded that river. They took all the money he made in his life. My brothers and sisters, they worked in the fruit trees, and they rode the truck till they took down and died. Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have your names when you ride the big airplane, and all they will call you will be deportees. Some of us are legal, some are not wanted. Work contracts out, we have to move on. 600 miles to that Mexican border. They chase us like rustlers, like outlaws, like thieves. We died in your hills, we died in your valleys. We died on your deserts and died on your plains. We died beneath your trees and we died in your bushes. Both sides of the river, we died just the same. Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have your names when you ride the big airplane, and all they will call you will be deportees. The sky plane caught fire over Los Gatos Canyon. A fireball of lightning shook all our hills. Who are all these dear friends, all scattered like dry leaves? Radio says they're just deportees. Is this the best way we can grow our big orchards? Is this the best way we can grow our good fruit? To lie on called by no name except deportees. Goodbye to my one, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have your names when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportees.
Thank you so much. We will hear more from you towards the end of our program. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce our speaker today. I have known him since high school. He was in high school back in the early 2000s, right? 2000-ish. And I had, before I do my formal presentation, oh, I hope I didn't lose it. Oh no, Susan, this is the problem. Oh my goodness, not. Okay. Anyway, I just was going to tell you that I took 2 Stratford students with my Springwood students to Thespian Festival in Lincoln, Nebraska, in the wild and woolly town of Lincoln, Nebraska, where they have an Applebee's. And every night they had theme nights, and you had to dress up, you know, to different theme. And so one night was, I don't know, cowboys, and so Brandon and Alex came out of their dormitory with unitards and chaps on. A unitard is like a flesh-colored dance wear, so it makes it look like you're naked, but you're not, because you're more dressed than probably half the people that were heading to the dance. With a teeny tiny sombrero in appropriate place below the belt, and then hats. Well, anyway. And so my girls were walking with Brandon and Alex, and there was a piñata and a jalapeno and 2 naked cowboys. And I was like, okay, I like this. This is awesome. This is great. So we get later on, one of the security ladies was like, I just think that's inappropriate. We need to take him to court. And I was like, he's mine, and he's not going to court. He's adorable. He's actually dressed more than most of the other people at this dance. He has more clothes on than other people. So the whole week, they had a new outfit. They were pirates. They were caballeros. They were Renaissance. Oh yeah, they were naked Renaissance people too. they were quite the hit of the thing, and it was really funny. And I'm still not sure why Jenny let me take her son, because I just had my knee operated on, and my partner just had her eye operated on, and we looked like, well, we looked pretty pitiful. But thank you for letting us do it. It's a wonderful experience that we had together. So now I'm going to find my little introduction, Susan. This is terrible. I had it right. Oh yes, good. I did it. 67, and I found it right away. Good job. All right, so here's the serious one. I could not be more excited that you're here. So Alex is the son of Oasis member Jennifer Gillespie Malone. He's the vice president and executive director for the AT&T Performing Arts Center in Dallas. His passion for theater originated with performances in Spring Branch ISD productions during his middle and high school years, and built during college at University of North Texas, where he received a BFA in musical theater with an emphasis in acting. He's going to guide us through phases of his career, including managing producer for Pops for the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, managing director of arts and culture at UH Clear Lake, where we had Oasis, Galveston Oasis met there, and we got to see each other a few times, and inaugural executive director of the Noorda Center for the Performing Arts at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. The shows he presented and the performers he brought to the stages have grown impressively over the years, as has Alex. Today, he will present, hey, let's put on another show, The Busy-ness of the Business of Show Business. With that, I introduce Alex Malone.
Oh my word, how do I follow myself? There we go. Let's have technology come back. So as Terry mentioned, I'm Alex Malone. I am currently the vice president and executive producer for the AT&T Performing Arts Center in Dallas, Texas. If you haven't been or you don't know, think of it as a hobby center combined with Houston Ballet, combined with the Houston Grand Opera, combined with the Alley. So it is a massive endeavor in putting in my password and trying to, it's all, Terry, hey, there it is, the busyness of the business. So it's a massive endeavor. It's a 10-acre campus with 3 large venues under its auspices, 5 resident companies, including the Dallas Opera, Dallas Theater Center, Texas Ballet Theater, the Anita Martinez Ballet Folklorico, and Dallas Black Dance Theater. We put on 5,000-ish shows a year, give or take 100 or 3. So busyness of the business is completely true, of show business, or how we change the world one show at a time. Like all great Shakespearean tragedies, my life can be told in 5 acts. So, but first we have to start with a prologue. As Terry mentioned, Stratford High School, cut my teeth in performing. I did as many shows as I could. I said yes to everything, including a selection of shows that stood out in my mind. And here's a little bit of, my mom kept all the show posters, and then as she was cleaning out, she gave them all to me. I don't know what I'm doing with them yet, but there's some Where's Waldo in here. I've got the Fantastics. I've got anything goes. I'm that cute kid right there. That was, I don't know, 28 years ago now. But I have these in my house, and they're great memories. After high school, I went to the University of North Texas. I got my BFA in musical theater. After that, I went to the Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama in Glasgow for my Master's of Performance in Musical Theater. I thought I was gonna be an actor. I moved to Chicago, the city, not the musical, was never good enough to be in the musical. And I auditioned for every single thing I could. I worked at Potbelly Sandwich Works. And the great thing about working at Potbelly Sandwich Works is you get a free meal after 6 hours. So I got lunch. And while I was there, my claim to fame is I auditioned and I got a 6-month stint in Tony and Tina's Wedding. Tony and Tina's Wedding is an off-Broadway sit-down dinner theater. And the great thing about that show is you get a free meal as the character. So I got 2 meals a day as an artist in Chicago. It was and I succeeded. I succeeded at being a starving artist. I really, I cut my teeth, I earned my stripes, and I realized that the performing arts is an incredible and a special place for people with the drive and the grit. And there are people a lot better than me out there. So, but my soul needed to be a part of the performing arts. I had to be in it somehow. But I wasn't built for the stage. I didn't like gigging around and winning that one audition and then knowing that in 3 months I'm gonna need something else because that job is going away. And I didn't have that drive, but I needed to be a part of it. So what I did is I entered the first act of my career and I went to the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra. I fell into arts administration completely by accident. Both of my degrees are in performance. I was going to be on the stage. It's what I needed to do, but it also enabled me to really understand what it needs, what the artist needs, and where their needs come into being able to put on a better show. At the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra, I was the Pops and Presentations Coordinator, basically meaning I did the contracting, the logistics, the artist hospitality, which was a great place to start in arts administration. I was able to be on the front line with the artist, picking them up from the airport, buying the blue M&Ms, making sure the organic blueberries from the grocery store were not too squishy. You know, personally squeeze, I didn't do that. But it also put me frontline with the artists. I really got to interface with them. I got to learn contracting and Excel and P&Ls on a budget line for a different show and making sure it all worked together with a really massive organization that could really support what I was doing. And this is where I learned kind of my first nugget of information, the difference between presenting and producing. Presenting, so a presenting organization, you may hear Andrea Bocelli presented by the AT&T Performing Arts Center versus Christmas Carol produced by the Alley Theater. Presenting is someone else's work. I am the host, and I am bringing someone else in to bring their show. Usually on a large show like that with even Andrea Bocelli, it's a single contract. I am engaging with Andrea Bocelli, Inc. Now, Andrea Bocelli is bringing in an orchestra of 60 and a background vocalist and a couple other stars and a crew, but my single point of contract is with Andrea Bocelli, Inc., and he is bringing the entire show to me. Producing is creating the work from scratch. The shows that I was doing in Stratford High School, the shows that I was doing that the Alley does, that Tuts is weird, we'll get into that. That some of what Tuts does is producing. They hire a director, they hire a designer, they hire the cast, they hire the crew, they put the show on, they rehearse it, they create it, they conceive it from scratch. What I was doing at the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra as the Pops and Presentations coordinator was I was mostly bringing single shows in. We would present a couple of examples, Marvin Hamlish. We would engage Marvin Hamlish. He would bring his show to the symphony. We wouldn't create a show from scratch for him. We would engage Chris Bodie or Liza Minnelli. Florence Henderson, because you told my pirate story, I have to tell my Florence Henderson story. So me and Mrs. Brady, we're real close. So I was picking her up from the hotel, and it was a short walk to the symphony. And while we were walking, I was much younger than I am now, and she leans around and she pinches my butt and goes, "Ooh, he's a good one." I said, "Mrs. Brady, please." And she said, "What? I can do it. I'm Florence Henderson." I was like, "I know you can do it." So my butt has personally been pinched by Mrs. Brady. It is. I don't think it's that rare of a thing, actually. I think she does it more often than she should. But we would engage these artists as a single contract to bring their show in. Sometimes we did their hotels, their airfare. I would play travel agent to get them here. Sometimes it would be, we're going to bring you in. Here's $50,000. Get yourself here. Put yourself up. You can use points. You can use whatever airline you want. Get yourself to the stage door, and we'll put on your show. Examples of producing. So while I was at the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra, we would produce a large Christmas concert called Yuletide Celebration. This was a huge endeavor where we would hire a director, hire choreographers, hire costume designers, hire a cast, rehearse them, commission or arrange and get new music written with the orchestra. So instead of being a single point of contact that a person would fly in, do the show, fly out, we would fly a cast in for months. And we would rehearse them and work with them. We would bring in Sandy Patty with a cast of dancers and original music and arrangements. And so it's a different world. It's a different conceived notion. A lot of times when you think of Broadway, Broadway is produced works. But the reason why Broadway shows have to run for years is because producing is expensive and producing is risky. You have no idea what the show will end up being like until you have done the show, and it's happened. And you don't know if the audience is going to love it or hate it. I could bring in Liza Minnelli knowing that the last 10 shows that she's performed, she sold 5,000 tickets, average ticket price of $52. I think where I am in this market, it's going to equate to about this, and I have a pretty good idea of how that show's going to do. When we produce a show, we have an idea of what Christmas concerts kind of do, but it's new music, it's a new cast, it's a new concept. We really don't know what it's like. So producing is a lot more expensive and a lot riskier, which is why you have companies dedicated to it, like the Alley, like Dallas Theater Center, where they produce their own work. One thing that I really learned at the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra was quality control. You need to do your research. Who are you hiring, both either as a presented or a produced work? What have they done? What name recognition can they bring? Vet them with other people, call around. But at the end of the day, a lot of quality control just comes from your gut reaction. How do you feel about this? What can you do? And what really helped me at the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra is being able to put quality control into words. Instead of going to a show and saying, "I didn't like it." Why? What didn't you like? Was it the pacing? Was it the tone? Was it more than just a technical intelligibility, or it was too loud, it was too soft? But what didn't you like about it? It didn't make me feel anything. Well, why? Was it the honesty of the performers? Was it the chemistry of how they interacted? But being able to put a why to what you didn't like enables you to then put into words how to fix it. And especially when you're producing, you need to get to the point of how you fix it. That's why you have previews and dress rehearsals. So when you're sitting there and you say, "I hated that scene." Well, why? What are you going to do about it? You can't just do it again and again and again. It's the finding out what the why is and why you didn't like it. From a presenting world, why didn't you like it? It's really easy. Just don't hire that artist again. But who then should you be hiring? Calling around, having a network of people. Really, at the end of the day, it's a small world. The same agents and artists that I worked with 20 years ago at the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra, I'm still working with today. Literally 4 days ago on Thursday, we had our gala at the AT&T PAC, and we brought in an artist named Michael Cavanaugh. I first worked with Michael Cavanaugh in 2008 at the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra doing his show Billy Joel, Elton John. Michael Cavanaugh was the original Billy Joel character in Moving Out. He played the piano on stage in the Broadway show. Incredible performer, but it's been 18 years and we're still working together. It's a small world. So knowing who to call at the various organizations. I have a monthly meeting with the two colleagues who book the Hobby Center. We talk about what shows are coming in. Same thing with the Tobin in San Antonio, and same thing across the country. We talk with each other and figure out what should we be doing. What's the zeitgeist of the performing arts world right now? Who's the next up and coming Chapel Roan? Who can we get on their way up so we can really engage a passionate audience from the ground up? That takes me to Act 2. I moved to the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, where I became the managing producer of popular programming. So moving from engaging someone else's contract to deciding what we should bring in. The seasonality of a show, the arc of a show, the contracts, the logistics, figuring out from soup to nuts, what should we be doing and how do we do it here? So this gets into kind of nugget 2 of what I learned, is crafting the seasonality of a season. So this is the audience participation part. So you can boil it down into a common phrase. You want to get something old, something new, something borrowed, and something, no, Hamilton. You want to get Hamilton. What does old mean? Nostalgia. You really want something, maybe something retro, a tribute band, classic music. A lot of film projects. There's, in the symphony orchestra world, there's a lot of film with orchestra out there. That can fall into the nostalgia. We're doing Harry Potter with orchestra, Star Wars with orchestra, Home Alone with orchestra. When I saw Home Alone and I loved it, now I'm in a place where I have the disposable income to bring my family. And so now it has that nostalgia feel, that warm, fuzzy feel. Something new. This is where it can get exciting and challenging. This is maybe something exploratory, something not as commercial. New genres, new artists, or maybe new works completely. You're commissioning something. Maybe you're trying something that's been established but never at your venue before. Maybe you're a symphony orchestra and you want to bring in some hip hop. You want to work with Common, or you want to work with Nas, doing hip hop with orchestra. Not a new show, but new for you, and commissioning something. A little audience development, trying to engage an audience that hasn't been to you before because they haven't had a reason to come before. Something borrowed. This is where you look at headliners. You're borrowing their name. You're borrowing their established audience base. You're bringing in the Liza Minnelli. You're bringing in a Marvin Hamlisch. You're borrowing from them their power as an artist, personalities, celebrities, things like that. And then Hamilton. Just bring in Hamilton. That will solidify your season. That will make it everything okay. Everything else can fail, but Hamilton, that's what you're going to hang it on. So how does this look? Like soup to nuts, what am I doing day to day crafting this season? So let's pretend we're working together on the 26-27 season. So this is going to be kind of August of 26 through May of 27. A lot of organizations take the summers off or do something different for the summer. So we're looking at the 26-27 season. What should we be doing when? Well, summer of 25, so I've already done this, we established our budgets. How much can we spend? How much do we expect to make? What's ticket sales like? What's donated revenue like? What are grants? What are sponsorships? How much do we have to play with to create a season? August of 25, we need to look at our dates. We need to slot in, all right, we know we always do Christmas Carol. Let's block off November, December. We always do a summer chill series. Let's block off the summer. We always have that graduation that is gonna rent our building and make us a lot of money. Let's block that off. Let's figure out what our dates are and start slotting things in and making sure we have a full arc that audiences can really get behind. September of 25, we want to talk to our headliners. These people book their calendars out, and if we really want someone, we need to get on their calendar early. Just as a note, this can flex by a lot of months depending on the type of art. Opera books 2 years out. Commercial programming books 3 months out. So it is a huge range. But if you want Renee Fleming, you're looking at 2028 on her calendar. If you want Joshua Bell or Yo-Yo Ma, you're looking at spring of 27 at the best right now. I'm actually holding a date right now for Joshua Bell in April of 27 because that is his booking seasonality. He books out the projects he wants to do, he books out his commissioning time, his orchestrating time, his personal time, and then looking at 27, that's when you want to engage these artists. So looking at headliners, you really need to look far out. October to December, you're working to negotiate contract, lock in the season anchors. So not just a headliner, but you say, hey, we're gonna do a new commissioning. It's gonna take a lot of work, we're gonna create something new, we're gonna lock that in now. And then in January, you go to APAP. What is APAP? APAP is the largest convening of the performing arts professionals in the world. It takes place January in New York, which is a miserable time to be in New York. But you're inside seeing shows the whole time, so it's not that big a deal. In APAP, it's 6 days in January, and it's the largest gathering of performers, presenters, agents, and touring artists. And it is more than just networking, it is the business of the business. This is where deals get struck. This is where you find new artists. There's showcases that go till 2 in the morning every single day, and then meetings that start at 8 in the morning. It is, as I say, the best, worst week of the year. It is incredible, and it is exhausting, and it is where most of the business of this world happens. So you come back from APAP. And January to February, you are now contracting and negotiating all those artists that you just found. You're finishing out the season. You're getting all the marketing assets ready to go. And March, plus or minus, you're announcing your season. You're starting your subscription sales. You're getting your seasonality built. You're starting to market to the patrons. And then usually sometime in summer, you're going to launch your season, your single tickets. That is a very rough template, which can flex by organization. But in general, you're looking, remember, we started summer of 25 to book 26, 27. So you're looking 18 months to 2.5 years out, trying to unfog your crystal ball of what should we be doing when. And then summer of 26, cycle starts again. You're creating your budgets for 27, 28. So it is a continual cycle with busy periods and lesser periods. And this is a rough example of a lot of the bigger arts organizations that do seasonal booking. Society for the Performing Arts, the opera, the symphony, a lot of these engagements look at this kind of schedule. But one of the challenges is there is no silver bullet. There is nothing for everyone, but your goal is to have something for all. There's no title that's going to appeal to the entire swath of humanity. But how do we have something on our season that can excite and engage you? Except for Hamilton. Just book Hamilton, and that's going to be fine. Have it sit down for a couple of years, and you're going to be fine. If you wanted a silver bullet, except 7 years ago, it was Harry Potter. And maybe coming up, it's going to be Wicked. So the challenge of what you're doing is finding what is the next Hamilton. What in 2.5 years is going to excite people enough to come out of their homes and to turn off Netflix and to come downtown and to pay for parking and to make an evening of it. We have made it so easy to stay home. Our challenge as seasonal programmers is to make it exciting to come out again. That takes me to Act 3. I came back to Texas. I was the director of theater and cultural arts for University of Houston Clear Lake. I was tasked with taking an old theater that was turned into a lecture hall and turning it back into a theater. I learned venue management. I learned organizational strategy and mission development. I learned community engagement, working with the people that you're trying to serve. It was a challenge to take the mission alignment of just put on shows and turn it into something fundable and exciting, and looking at risk versus control. This is where finding out why should we be doing shows and do they make financial sense. It is to de-risk a venue completely, you turn it into a rental house. There are no risks in rentals. I can open the doors and let anyone pay me to use the space, whether it's good or not. But then audiences stop trusting you. If you have no curatorial oversight and you are just a four-wall shell, why would an audience member care what you do? They're going to care what the artist does. They're going to care what people bring in. But having a sense of artistic oversight over what you're doing, whether presented or produced or rental, that's where there is a challenge. And this being an old venue turned into a lecture hall back into a new venue had a distinct challenge of being relevant to a community that forgot it was there. It had been there for 50 years. It was not there, but now it's coming back. And people thought, oh, I remember the Bayou Theater. I haven't seen anything there in 20 years. Well, it hasn't been a theater in 20 years. We had rentals, we had some users, but we really hadn't had a curatorial vision or an essence of why it was relevant to the community. So my challenge there was to really not only do the mold remediation and asbestos and ADA compliance and new seats and all the fun that goes into taking an old venue, but then create and craft the reason why, the community engagement, the working with a community and learning about them. This quickly transitioned to Act 4, where I was kind of poached and kind of sought out to be the inaugural executive director for a brand new performing arts center that was opening in Utah. It was 150,000 square feet, 5 performing venues on a university campus. And they said, we've built this great thing, run it, do. And I said, well, what am I here to do? Shows. Well, what shows? The good ones. Okay, so I really had to take a step back and say, well, what was the story that was told? This was made with private and public funds, so what story was sold? Who was told this building is for them? And the sad thing was that everyone was told the building was for them. The students were said, this is going to be your performance space, and the donors were said, you can use it for your parties, and the president was said, you can use it for your investiture, and the community was said, we're going to bring in the biggest artists. And really this helped me understand you need strong systems. You need strong guardrails to be able to give alignment to what you're doing, and not only the whys, but the why nots. We are not here to be your quinceañera. We're not here to be your wedding venue. But maybe we are. Why should we? Well, we're engaging the community in a different way. We're inviting people into our spaces. We're being relevant in all different kinds of ways. And so finding the whys and putting the guardrails in place was key to having that long-term success. In the strategic planning of the Performing Arts Center, really answering kind of those core questions, the who, what, where, when, why, but also how. How are we going to get this done? What is our organizational capacity? How much can we do realistically? How much can the building do? How much can we absorb in our internal staffing to make sure we have the capacity to then be relevant in the things we should be doing as stewards of a building for students on a campus? And finding that balance of external programming, internal programming, student programming, and downtime to fix the space. If you don't continually upgrade a space, it will get run into the ground. I hope no one here works for Live Nation or AEG, but they are notorious for taking buildings and running them into the ground. They do very little investment into the maintenance of their buildings. And so you'll go to an AEG or Live Nation house, and when it first opens, House of Blues is beautiful. And then the next year it's a little sticky. The year after that it's a little tired. The year after that, maybe they got a new sound system, but it's just getting tired. And making sure that you're always being investing in your spaces was key in learning that. It was a brand new building. And by year 5, we were doing preventative maintenance and making sure that it was still up to spec and having to close for weeks at a time so we could inspect and replace parts of our fly rail system because you use it every single time. And it's one of those pieces of equipment you can't afford to fail. Working with the community, especially community in Utah, was very interesting. It's a very insular community, and trying to come in from the outside was a challenge, and learning what hole am I here to fill? There is a lot of performing arts all over the country, and especially in Utah. What's not being done? Where am I not going to duplicate, or where am I not going to compete with, but where can I enhance what's happening or what's coming in? And working with our neighbors, not just to collaborate, but maybe just to deconflict. If you're going to bring in Yo-Yo Ma, I shouldn't bring in Joshua Bell on the same weekend. But if you're going to bring in Yo-Yo Ma, maybe I could bring in a jazz string quartet. And now we're engaging an audience that likes string music, and maybe there's crossover that we can co-market that. Maybe there are ways we can work together. So finding your partners in the community was key to making sure that the performing arts in Utah here had a life beyond what was just in our walls. And you have to learn your community sometimes better than they know themselves. People lie. When you ask someone, what do you want to see? Cher. Okay, I'm not bringing in Cher. She's $12 million to answer the phone. And then it's another $12 million to get her production out of Vegas. So what are we going to bring in? And people say, well, I want musical theater singers. Okay, well, what does that mean? Maybe I can't afford Leslie Odom Jr., but I can afford the current Aaron Burr on Hamilton. And maybe it's the essence of who you're looking for. Maybe it's the world that you're looking to create. And that takes me to Act 5, where I'm currently the Vice President and Executive Producer at AT&T Performing Arts Center. So I'm over the Broadway programming, commercial programming, marketing, and earned revenue. Broadway is, hate to break it for you, for-profit. It is a for-profit business. It is the epitome of the business of the business. There are 4 agencies that rule them all on the Broadway booking scene. It's Bond, the Booking Group, Broadway Beyond Theatricals, and Road Company. That's it. Every Broadway show that goes on tour is repped by one of those 4 companies. It's a small world. And it's expensive. It is hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to take a show on the road each week. You're moving a small village. You're moving dozens of people and sets and props and organized by 4 different unions depending on what you're trying to put on. And it is expensive. So the reason why Broadway tickets are so high is because that's the world that we've built ourselves. And I've talked a little bit about this before, kind of the commercial programming and curatorial programming. Commercial programming is revenue-driven. Broadway is commercial programming. Some of those other artists I've mentioned, we've worked with Leslie Odom Jr., we've worked with Bernadette Peters, we've worked with Patti LuPone. The reason why the AT&T Performing Arts Center, we brought those artists in is to make money. Our goal was to make more in-ticket sales than it cost to put on the show. Part of our commercial programming is then to invest in our curatorial programming, to invest in our building maintenance, to invest in our education and audience development efforts. Curatorial programming is really the mission-driven side. This is where it can be donor or endowment funded. This is where you're looking at smaller venues or artists that aren't going to exceed their expenses with ticket sales. On my follow-up talk when I come back in a couple months, I'm sure I will, right? Then I'll talk about different deals that are struck in the performing arts, flat versus plus deals, and how those all work from different size venues. So to wrap up the future, what can you do? Go, see, attend, support, go see shows, get out of the house, anything, small venue, big venue, large, small, bring a friend, and see more than Hamilton. Hamilton has enough people. You don't need to go see Hamilton. It's been seen. Go see the next Hamilton. Go find what that next Hamilton is. Go find the next really exciting and engaging piece of art that really speaks to you in a different way. Thank you so much. Yes, up front.
Suppose you'd like to comment on Lincoln Center at this point.
Oh, Kennedy Center?
Yes, that's what I mean.
No comment.
Thank you.
No, Kennedy Center's in a rough spot where the direction that it's been given is different than the mission that it's had for decades, and they're figuring it out. I have a lot of friends who used to work there.
Hi, great talk, very informative. Where do you see the main trends in audience development nowadays? Like, do you see like doing the pop things like video game soundtracks or anime soundtracks being like the next level of bringing new people into the theater?
I really think it's the next thing. I think the video game, film, we've booked 4 or 5 different anime video game. Is that my alarm? I'm so sorry, y'all. So we brought like The Witcher, we've brought Avatar, we've brought all these different film anime projects with orchestra. I think the next thing is going to be VR, AR, and immersive. It's how do you take a Meow Wolf on the road? How do you, we brought a really great project in, it was called Darkfield, out of Australia, and it's a 360-degree audio experience that takes place in complete darkness in shipping containers. So you and 22 of your closest strangers go into a shipping container, you put on binaural headphones, they turn off the lights completely, and you have an auditory experience that takes you on a journey. It's that kind of immersive programming that I think is the next wave, and it's how does that engage with technology in new and interesting ways. From audience development, I think a lot of it is providing the experience that can't be found on Netflix. It's the cathartic community, humanity building, being in the room where the art is happening that we really have to engage in. Yeah. Oh, over here, sorry.
Across the business, have the admissions fully recovered from COVID?
No, but a lot of that is because of inflation. The expenses have gone up and ticket prices have not kept with inflation. We've tried to, from a business, maintain our affordability to our own detriment. Giving is also down. What we are finding is people from 5 years ago, if you were willing to spend $400 to go see a show, to go to $400 over the course of a year to see art, and maybe you were gonna buy a $400 subscription or go to 4 $100 performances, people are still spending $400, but you're gonna spend it on one $400 can't miss Taylor Swift experience. Patrons are still spending money, but they're being much more discerning about what, where, and how, and they are tending to purchase fewer, more experiential things than trusting in a presenter to say, you may not have heard of this artist, but you trust what I've done and you're gonna take a risk on it. So de-risking the audience experience and de-risking our own portfolio is where we are now.
So I've never been to the AT&T Center, but I've been to Music Hall at Fair Park numerous times. Years ago, they showed put on a live concert. Dallas Symphony Orchestra played the soundtrack to Fellowship of the Ring. Mm-hmm. So are there specific IPs that are just like no-brainers to put on? Like someone sees Lord of the Rings, like check, don't even need the rest of this, gone. We're good.
Hamilton. No. 5 years ago, I would have said yes. 5 years ago, I would have said Star Wars, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, video games live, were no-brainers. They all had a strong enough IP that they could come. But 5 years ago, putting on, I guess it was, when I was in the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, we engaged to bring in all 8 Harry Potter films over 4 years. And we would do 2 in a year, like a fall and a spring over 4 years. That project was $400,000. Now it's $750,000. But ticket prices haven't kept up. So even the IP, while it's powerful, the finances of it, unless there is that $100,000 donor that says this is important, I want to put my name behind it, the earned revenue side isn't keeping up. And that's the challenge of finding the next IP. What is the next film, Wicked for Good, with orchestra that hasn't expected $200,000 per showing yet? Yep. Totally. Everything is going to have to be run through the ringer. We're looking at right now, speaking of Danny Elfman's, we're looking at Nightmare Before Christmas with Danny Elfman singing the role of Jack Skellington. But I don't have the spare $200,000 to do it. Because it would need to sell out 8,000 tickets at our arena. Like, it doesn't live in a theater, but the show should be in a theater. You don't have as good an experience in an arena. You really have that intimate experience in a theater. So making capacity versus revenue make sense is the name of the game. I'm still working on it. As soon as I get it, I'll let you know. Over here, yes.
Yeah. In your position, what is your role with the unions? You mentioned that. And also, how has your relationship with them changed over time?
It's gotten better. It used to be so currently I work most closely with SD&C, which is the stage directors and choreographers, and Actors Equity. Our general manager works with stagehands, IATSE, and USA, which is the designers, and the costume union as well, which goes under IATSE now. So we work with them on when it comes to expenses of what we need to budget for a show. We work with Actors Equity and SD&C for producing and working with those artists. They have understood that there is always a management versus union conflict, but it has become much more collaborative, working together. Both parties understand that at the end of the day, we want artists to be paid fairly and a livable wage, but we can't give away the farm or we won't be able to hire them anymore. And we have to find that middle ground. We also work with ACMA, opera and dancers. So it's become more collaborative, but it's still two sides of the table. Yeah. No, yeah.
This is more when it comes to kind of like expense considerations. So like I know a composer wouldn't be as expensive as someone like Audra McDonald or Bernadette Peters, like someone famous from Broadway. But like let's say that someone wanted to put on Game of Thrones / House of the Dragon and bring in Ramin Djawadi. Would that one run pretty high?
There's a lot of factors that go into that, and I'm going to boil it down as quick as I can. Do you have your own orchestra? If I have my own orchestra and I'm already paying them a salary through AFM, oh, sorry, that's another one, AFM, Union of Musicians. I guess like 6 unions. So if you have your own orchestra, you're already paying them a salary or a weekly rate, then you're really just paying the royalty, the commission on the show, and maybe the artist expenses to bring that person in. If you have to do rearranging, if you have to do new commissions, then there's all kinds of royalties and beyond that. If you don't have your own orchestra, the most expensive part is going to be hiring the musicians. You're going to need 40 to 60 players for at least 3 or 4 services. Running $200 a service, you're looking at $50,000 just for the musicians, not even the IP or the film or the tech that goes into that. Yeah, if I were in Houston or in Dallas, if I'm ever going to do a film with orchestra, the first person I'm going to reach out to is my colleague at the DSO to say, are you interested? Can we collaborate? If they say no, I'm reaching out to the Dallas Opera Orchestra to say, are you interested? And if they say no, I'm going to look at the finances and most likely have to pass.
So you mentioned that like booking an opera, right, would be like 2 years in advance versus something else being 3 months. What's the reasoning behind that? Like, why is there that big a difference?
Opera, especially grand opera, just takes that long to come together because you really have all 3 art forms. You've got music, dance, theater coming together on a grand scale. And so opera companies have just become to this tradition to say, I just got the dates and titles for the 27-28 Dallas opera season. So they at least know that they're doing La Boheme. They probably know who their 2 or 3 stars are and have already engaged them. And now they can work backwards on creating the production, building the set. A lot of opera companies also engage with one another. So Dallas Opera is working with Arizona Opera, Seattle Opera, and something in New England, Boston maybe, to create a new opera that will then tour all 4 of them. So they'll put it on a couple trucks and they'll send the set and the production and the costumes and probably the stars to all of those cities. And then each city will hire its own locals or their usual complement of performers to flesh out that production. But they'll come together to invest in the production because producing is expensive and risky. And so they're using that to mitigate the risk and then sending the show around the country.
Thank you. As an audience member, I realize that I'm still sold on Houston Symphony and the Houston Grand Opera and others, but I'm also becoming more and more aware that the outlying towns, cities, or not cities, but the towns, the areas, have smaller theater things, music things that are really good. And so I bet you anything that Dallas is experiencing that in your experience.
And the arts ecosystem is vital. If we don't have the Garland Summer Musicals, or when we lost Galveston Summer Musicals, which created that pipeline of performers to be able to do the summer stock, to hone their craft, to cut their teeth, and then to move to a full-time and alley theater and start working up into the upper echelons. If we didn't have, when we lose those companies, we lose the pipeline of the next generation of Hamilton creators. And having places like the Public Theater in New York, having places that are funded intentionally to create work is vital. Europe does it so much better than we do. We are reliant on private funding, on philanthropists, on people who believe in the work, whereas in a lot of European countries, they believe in the government should support arts creation for the betterment of society, and I want that for us too. Oh. Oh. No?
Question.
I'll be around. You can ask me a question. Thank you.
Wow, that was awesome. And you're coming back?
Sure.
I can't wait.
I'm bored at work. I got plenty of time.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, I can tell by what you say you do. I know. Yes. All right, we will hear a couple more songs from Hank, and then we'll end up and get ready for lunch.
Well, I just learned that I should be booking myself for the 2027-2028 season. Here we go. Actually, in reality, I meet a lot of people and they say, so what do you do for a living? And I say, well, I'm the executive director of a small nonprofit organization. I'm a singer-songwriter. So getting back to the theme of immigration here, which seems to be a dominant theme in today's world, unfortunately. This is a song I wrote with a dear friend of mine out of Norman, Oklahoma, Miss Susan Herndon. And this is a song for all of us, because unless you are a Native American, your people came from somewhere else. So we are all one big, happy, dysfunctional immigrant family. So this one's for all of us. Come here today to talk about family. We come here today to talk about home. Brothers and sisters, we're in this together. We're all seeking shelter from the same storm. Now some would divide us, false words and confusion. Some prey on our fears, try and lead us astray. But that's just illusion, for we are united. We're all seeking truth. Let truth guide our way. Mother of exiles, torch held on high, a light of hope for all to see. Give us your homeless, your tired and your poor, all those who yearn to be free. We got to start building bridges, start tearing down walls. It's time to start building bridges, start tearing down walls. We come here today to talk about forgiveness. We come here today to talk about love. Brothers and sisters, we must come together and lift up our hearts with a light from above. Sweet Lady Liberty, torch held on high, a golden light for all to see. We are your homeless, your tired and your poor. Here we learn what it means to be free. We got to start building bridges, start tearing down walls. It's time to start building bridges, start tearing down walls. Thank you, thank you. Thanks again to Oasis for having me back. I really appreciate them and what they do and what this organization does. So I'll leave you a little a song of farewell, take on your way today. And I usually figure I'm not very good at marketing. As I mentioned, I should be booking my 2027-28 season, but actually I'm available right after this gig if anyone wants to book me. My calendar's open right now. My next gig is day after Thanksgiving, so I'm kind of open. But I do have CDs for sale. I don't know if you remember, there's those little silver discs that you put in these machines and they play music. And you can pick those up. And most of the songs, I think all the songs I played today are on those magical pieces of plastic. So here's a song from the last record. Peace unto you till we meet again. Gone on our ways, spirits in the wind. Peace unto you wherever you may roam. The long winding road surely bring you home. Peace unto you, brush away your tears, trusting in love, fly away your fears. unto you. You're not the only one. Dark be the hour, dawn is soon to come. Shine on, keep shining your golden light. Guide us to safer shores. Shine on, keep shining long through the night. On, further on, further on. Peace unto you, leave the past behind. Rise with the dawn, say our last goodbye. Peace unto you, till we meet again. Gone on our ways, spirits in the wind. Thank you all. Appreciate it very much. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Hank, and I've forgotten your name, Malone. Alex Malone. No, I'm joking. Not really. Anyway, it's already been a long weekend. So I just wanted to remind you about our toy drive and our drive for, it's back here. We're collecting toys and essential items until December 14th. And the food bank. When are we doing? Next Saturday, the food bank. And next Sunday, we're having a brunch. We're having a turkey fun festival brunch. And so that's what we're going to do and have a social time with one another. It'll be wonderful. And I want to remind you that if you do want to contribute financially to Oasis, we would love that. That would be wonderful. And if you can't or don't, we still want you here. So no matter what, we want you here enjoying and being with us. So with that said, I want to thank everybody who's here, the people that come and set everything up early, the people that make the coffee, the people that do it. Thank you so much. Thank you. I always say that when the technical items are done well, they're invisible, but they are not invisible to us, and we really do appreciate all that you guys do to make this sound so well and to make our coffee and everything so nice. So now, if y'all will help us set up for our luncheon, that would be wonderful, and put some tables out and some chairs around them, and I hope you'll be able to stay. Alex is going to stay, so are you? For a few minutes. Oh, he's going to stay for a few minutes, but he's coming back. Anyway, all right. Thank you. Have a wonderful week, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
They are, but it won't last.